Recently, I went to a party with 3 pals. The party, from me and my friend's point of view, was sold to us as a shroom party. So automatically, Rocky is in. I was also being paid to perform there, so you can't call me a starving artist. And then the plan was to just laugh the 4 of us into the night. Ha ha ha! By the way, I am not condoning the use of any illegal substances. I'm simply speaking from my own wild night. We timed it so that they would kick in right around the time I got off stage. Bing, bang, boom. The sillies are in business, baby. What do you know? It worked. We reunite after I shared the gift of laughter to the world and found a corner to just kind of perch in the yard. As we're creating inside joke after inside joke and banter after banter, people keep using us as a mingling jumping off point. Every time we have a big laugh, a new stranger pulls up a chair. They are adding little to nothing to the conversation, except we have to recalibrate every time a polite stranger makes their way over to our conversation cubby. By the way, none of these people were on mushrooms. That's right, we asked, hey, so how do you feel now? 'Cause we are having a blast. You're tripping too, I assume? No, I didn't have any. After the 3rd person that circled into our pod told us they were not tripping, we started thinking, egg on our faces, bruh. Looks like it's just us 4. We gotta go. We can't be having regular-ass conversations with strangers who are not on shrooms. That is a buzzkill, nay, a reality conflict of interest. We attempt to leave. To paint a picture, we were as far as possible from the front door. This wasn't going to be easy. As we attempted to make our way out, it began to feel kind of like a video game with obstacles. People would want to talk on our way out, and we were just not on the same plane. At one point, I was retrieving my shoes from under the kitchen sink. Do not steal my hiding spot. And I lost the pack. Sure, they may have been waving at me from 4 feet away while I stood, shoes in hand, leaning on the wall for dear life. And a stranger had to repeat 3 times to me that he wasn't in a band. My man, I am leaning on a wall, facing away from you, probably mouthing to my friends to pull me out of this scene. I don't know what the fuck I'm saying. Let the girl on shrooms go. I make it out. I make it out of that checkpoint only to hit a new level. Have you ever had an ex-lover's new girlfriend ask you to borrow a lighter when you've never even met her before? How about when you're in the cosmos? Made it past that checkpoint. Finally, we are almost out. Between us blocking the staircase and the flack I received for not being able to put on my shoes, we made it out. We stood out like 4 sore thumbs at this party, and honestly, I haven't laughed harder all year.
It's time for
the
Rocky
Welcome to the Rocky Rundown, where you get to learn a little bit about my week. Party God Squad, hello. Did you manage to test negative and not catch COVID? Well, that makes one of us. That's right, 2 years into the pandemic, and he finally got me. I'll start by saying I am on the major upswing, but I was tired and achy for a bit there. Never any fever, but something told me, you got it. You got COVID and you got a test to confirm. This past weekend was my bestie's bachelorette party, which I had a heavy hand in, and I had to miss it. And to be honest with you, it made me very sad, because those are the times that you look back on in life. But safety first. And the party was an amazing success, as my girlfriends kept me in the loop all along the way, so that's all that matters. The morning I tested, I knew. I'm a woman who's pretty in tune with her body. I know the second before I get my period. I can smell how long a rainstorm will last, for real. And I knew when I had COVID. Before I could even do the droplet portion of the test flew out of my hand and is currently in line at CityMD getting its own tests because of its exposure to me. As far as isolation, I can't complain too much. I've been doing my affirmations every time I confirm Apple Pay on Seamless. I am abundant. I can order as much Chipotle as I want without looking at my bank statement. Money flows where my Grubhub goes. Those are important for staying positive. Put 5 fingers up if you're online dating. Put a finger down if, oh my god, date number 1 went amazing and you're both really into each other. Put a finger down if they check almost every box on the box chart you've created for them in your head. Put a finger down if they invited you over to Netflix and chill, but we all know you're not gonna Netflix or chill. Put a finger down if, boom, baby, hook up, party of 2. I said, hook up, party of 2, your table's ready. And then lastly, put a finger down if you have to send them a text that you may have given them COVID. Oh, looks like I win. Cool thing about isolation was eating in bed. I'm not a big fan of eating in bed. In fact, it grosses me out in a big way. Call it COVID brain, but I have been snacking. And I'm also in this weird sort of loop. I can hear very clearly when cars outside are blasting their music as they drive by. And every car that I notice whose music is blasting a Kanye West song. And that's 100% true. Different Kanye West songs, too. Just something I noticed. That brings us to Rocky's highest thoughts, my most stoned thoughts of the week. Number 1, at the end of the day, you get along best with the friends you would behave similarly with at a party. Number 2, I think I'm missing something with this Leo Cat Titanic video. Number 3, if you think of days of our lives like pages in a book, you really can't just skip from the page you left off with someone and then pick up where you feel like. You're not going to understand what's going on in the book. Number 4, I may have been a gopher in a past life because I am learning I am super into burrowing. Number 5, I was watching adult cartoons where a British cartoon said, I hope you weren't waiting online for too long. Online. Took me right out. My guest this week is comedian Clint Coley. Clint's wild word was cautious, but there's no reason for you to be cautious, so listen up. If you haven't done so already, please like, share, and subscribe to the podcast. You can follow me on TikTok and Instagram at Wild Nights with Rocky, on Twitter at Wild Nights Pod. If you want to watch extended interviews with all of my guests, you can subscribe on YouTube. A big thank you to everyone who's written a review on Apple Podcasts, and a future thank you to all of you who are going to write one after this episode. It really does make a difference. You can also sign up for my Patreon for either $2 or $5 a month, making this podcast the best podcast it can be. And now, please enjoy my Wild Nights conversation with Clint Coley. Clint, welcome. Thank you for doing the podcast.
Thank you for having me. Appreciate you having me. I'm glad to be here.
I'm happy to have you. And I told you before we started recording, this background, this is amazing. Is that for your own podcast? Set the scene, or you were just laying out your favorites?
It's a little bit of both. So, like, I interchange these because I got a big record collection, so I own about 15 to 17,000 records. And
I'm sorry, did you say 15 to 17,000?
Yeah.
Oh my gosh.
Yeah, I collect a lot of records. They're not all here in this here house or this apartment that I live in. But most of it is in storage. But what I do is a lot of my favorite ones, I interchange them and stuff like that. There's a lot of them here. There's some in my living room. There's some in my bedroom. Like they're all, it's all over the house. But yeah, it's just a hobby. This is what I like. And then on top of that, this is my room where I record my podcast and stuff like that. So
amazing.
My thing is when people come in to do the podcast, I want to give them a good, ambiance and a good, I want them to feel like they on the show. Like I don't want you to feel like you just, you know what I'm saying? You just pulling up to somebody. Yeah. So it adds a level of the podcast, the energy to it, and a little bit of your personality too. Did you know that there is a vinyl shortage right now? I mean, I probably got them on it.
You got them because I had there's a vinyl shortage. I heard about that and I was like, oh my goodness, Clint is in trouble if there's a vinyl shortage.
But nobody's. I mean, I don't collect the records for the record. Like I'm not listening to this is one of my favorite albums, right? It's Babyface, it's an old Babyface album.
Babyface Edmonds
from 80. You say it like you his friend or something.
Yeah, that's my homie.
You know what I mean? But no, but like I'm not listening to this actual album. Like I'm not listening to the actual record. Like I have the, you know what I'm saying? So like that's why like it don't, like most people be like, oh man, I gotta get vinyl. It's like, yo, who really listens to it? Like, I mean, for the nostalgia purposes, if you try to be cool, yeah, but for the most part, when you're day-to-day listening, you're not putting on an album and being like, oh, let me hear this. Like you playing Apple Music or whatever streaming service that you have.
It's just more practical. I would put a record on if I'm like cleaning on a Sunday or something, or having some people over and you want to impress them. But nowadays, you know, it's hard to get a good record. I had a guy try to sell me a record on the street. I wanted to buy Michael Jackson. I think it was Thriller, and he was selling it for $25. And I said, are there any scratches? And there were quite a few. And I was like, well, I'm glad I was cautious.
Yeah.
So Clint's wild word was cautious. So Clint, take it away. Tell us your wild night story. I'm dying to hear it. Everyone listening's dying to hear it.
So, all right, here we go. So I'm a comedian. You know, if you don't know that, if you listen to this, you don't know that I'm a stand-up comedian. Been doing it for 15 years. So part of my journey though was me opening for DL Hughley back in I was opening for him for maybe like 9 years of my comedy. Yeah, I'm saying. And so one night we're in Houston. All right. And I'll say this, Houston has the best looking women, Black women especially. They have the best looking Black women in the country. Hands down, don't no ifs, ands, or buts about it.
And you've traveled a lot.
Records. I've been to every major city in this country, and I've been around the world. I'm just talking about, they don't have the best looking women in the world, but when it comes to Black women in this country, they are in Houston, Texas, for sure. Like, and I'm not even just talking about beautiful. I'm talking about they're beautiful, they're smart, they take care. Like if you want to find a wife, go to Houston, right?
That's where the Queen is from, so that makes perfect sense.
The who?
The Queen, Beyonce.
Meg. Oh. Well, yeah. Okay. All right. I'll give you that. And also, when you say the Queen, I thought you mean Latifah. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
That is the Queen, in my opinion.
That's true. Yes, that's true.
She's from Jersey, but that's neither here nor there.
Well, she's the queen in her own right, Queen Latifah. So she does not age. Does not age.
She does not age. She's the queen.
Yes.
Period. All right. So I'm in Houston. I'm doing the show. So at the time, you know, I'm on Tinder, and you know, I'm swiping through, blah 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 blah. Match with a young lady. I'm like, all right, we start talking, and we're not texting, but we're Tindering, I guess.
Yes,
you know what I'm saying?
I got you. Yeah, chatting
for a good hour straight, and it's good conversation. So I was like, yo, like, here's my number. Like, if you want to talk to me, let's talk. Like, you know what I mean? If you're not busy, she was like, hey. So we get on the phone, we talking for like another hour, right? So she's like, yo, you know, this is cool. What do you have planned today? I was like, well, I got work tonight, but and I said work loosely, like I ain't want her to know what I did for a living.
That's what I was going to ask you, if you told her that you had a stand-up gig. Okay.
No. I said, yo, I gotta work tonight, but look, this was kind of corny, by the way, but I don't care. It was corny. So I was like, yo, but before work though, if you want to catch this comedy show, I think we should go, and then I'll drop you off, and then we'll go in afterwards, right?
Yeah.
So I told her, I said, my shift don't start till like 2 a.m. I said, so we can go to the comedy club, drop you off, and then boom, right? She's like, all right, bet. So so she declines to get picked up, which I understand that. She declines to get picked up. She's like, yo, can I just meet you at the Improv? She says, who's performing? I said, DL Hughley. She says, oh, he's cool. I like him. All right, let's go.
Yeah.
So she meets, so I was like, yo, but you gotta be on time. Like, only reason why, because I'm first, you know what I'm saying? You have to be on time. You have to be, like, so I told, she's like, yo, why can't we get, I said, yo, just trust me, we gotta get there on time.
Right.
So she says, all right. So the show starts at 7. I'm there by 6:30, right? She pulls up around 6:50. I'm not mad. It's like I still got time. I'm already there. I didn't already, you know what I'm saying?
Right.
Cool. She gets there at 6:50. Show starts, well, you know, it's supposed to start at 7. It don't really start till 7.
2 minutes. Yeah.
Yeah. All right. So now I sit her in the audience, right? And we're sitting in the back on purpose though, right? Now I know she probably mad. I got the waiters and everybody in on it. Like, yo, don't tell her nothing.
Oh
right?
my God.
Don't tell her nothing. So quickly, so we I was like, so right before I know the show is about to start, I get a text, yo, we about to start. Let's go. I said, all right, bet. So now, and I got lucky too. There was an opening. It was another guy that went on before me.
Perfect.
Right?
Yeah.
So he goes on. He's doing his 5 minutes. I'm enjoying the show. It looked like I'm not. It don't look like. It don't. Nothing suspicious.
Yeah.
Probably. Now, mind you, I know the guy. I know when his joke is about to wrap up. 4 minutes into his set, he's only supposed to do 5. I know his one of his jokes is coming. He's about to bring me up. Let me get ready. I was like, yo, hey, I gotta go to the bathroom real quick. I'll be right back. She says, all right, no problem. So I make sure she's not looking, walk like I'm going to the bathroom outside in the lobby. Then I walk down, because there's a ramp in the Houston Improv.
Okay.
Walk down the ramp. He says, ladies and gentlemen, coming from Philly, Clint Coley. All right. So crowd is making noise, excited, ha, 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 right? She in the back, now I'm looking at everything she do the entire time.
Of course.
And I'm up there giving out work. Like, look, man, I think that a lot of times comedians, we like to be modest and be like, oh, like, come on, man. Like, you funny. So I had and that's another reason why I love Houston. Like, I've never had, first of all, I don't really have bad sets, period. Right. Mm-hmm. But like, Houston really, like, they get it. I don't have to be stupid on stage.
And they give you back the energy.
Right. So long story short, I get up, I go up there, do my thing. I come back down. And she was like, so I go to I text her, I was like, yo, just get up out your seat. Come on here. She was like, yo, this is probably the most clever shit somebody's ever done.
Unforgettable.
She's like, I had no idea. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Like, yeah, this is I said, yo, this is my job. And technically I wasn't wrong. I'll be off at 2. I'll still take, you know what I'm saying? You still go home.
We can go.
Yeah. So but no, of course not. That's not, now we in the green room, like, she's hanging with us and, so like, she's around now, you know what I'm saying? So she's around for the whole night. She's enjoying the experience. She's drinking free. Yeah, you chilling. All right. So so after the shows, I sell merchandise. Mm-hmm. So after the first show, she wasn't in the lobby with me, but after the second show, she's in the lobby with me as I'm selling t-shirts and stuff like that.
Yeah.
And, women are flirting with me, you know what I'm saying? Like, openly flirting with me. But she's standing there, right? Now, mind you, we've only known each other for less than 24 hours.
Yep. One day.
Yeah, we've less than 24 hours. Like, mind you, we met at we swiped right on each other maybe at 11 in the morning.
Yeah.
Like, it's now 11 at night. Like, it's not been a full day. Like, so she over there with an attitude, you know what I'm saying? And it's like, yo, now I'm not flirting back in the sense where I'm acting like, yo, they have a chance to leave with me. But if a woman hugs me and be like, oh, you were so funny, or they'll blah, 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 you cute. I'm like, oh yeah, thank you. You beautiful too. Like, I'm not about to, like, bro, like, and on top of that, that's another thing. So Houston or Texas in general, like, they support like the up and coming artists. So mind you, this is 8 years ago. This is 2014. I don't have. I'm still like I'm 7 years in comedy. You know what I'm saying? So I'm still like trying to find my way. Blah blah.
Getting your footing.
Blah. Yeah. So she over there with an attitude, like, you know what I'm saying. But I'm not. But that's hindsight. At the time, I'm thinking like I could see she a little salty. But like all I'll do is I'll be like, look. It's just like she's not used to that. Maybe I'm trying to give some grace. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
So after the last person goes, right, or after the last person, now mind you, like here's what I was going to tell you. They sell, like I was selling. It wasn't like I was selling 1 or 2 t-shirts. Like I'm gonna say like maybe 35 people bought a t-shirt from that show alone. Wow. I probably sold like 70 t-shirts that night, but 35 t-shirts on that show alone by itself. No, nothing else. And mind you, 35 t-shirts at $35 a piece. Yeah, dog. I need that money. Like, I'm not, you know what I mean? And mind you, and here's what she doesn't know. Like, at the time, and this is just on my comedy journey. Like, DL, I was only getting paid $300 for the weekend.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? Like, and my hotel and flight, like, but so
you took care of that, yeah.
So my thing is, if I'm bringing 200 or 150 shirts, you serve at $35 a piece, bro. That's
money.
That helps. That helps. You know what I'm saying?
I do,
so, not that I owe her this explanation, by the way. So anyway, So we ended off, and night's over. She's like, yo, where you staying at? I was like, yo, I'm staying at the Marriott over here. She says, and mind you, she had been drinking too.
Mm-hmm.
So we both been drinking. So I know if she fine, I'm fine. We touching each other, blah, 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 blah.
And she just watched you open for DL Hughley. Like, this is probably the best Tinder date she's ever been on.
We about to fuck. I mean,
Yeah.
let's just bottom
Let's call it like it is, yeah.
Yeah, we about to fuck. So we headed back. So now, mind you, she asked me this before the chicks or before the selling of the merchandise.
Gotcha.
So we get to, you hear me, you see me reliving this shit.
I do.
We on the way to the hotel.
Mm-hmm.
She's in the car. She's driving, by the way.
Okay.
She's crying.
Oh.
She's crying. And I'm like, yo, like, you crying? Like, what's wrong? I'm thinking, yo, I swear to God, I'm thinking like, maybe, something triggered her, like maybe her mom, something, maybe she thinking about something.
Yeah, it couldn't have been anything.
Her mom or dad. It couldn't have been me.
Right.
She says, I just can't believe in all my years of dating that I will have a man openly flirt with other bitches in front of me. And like, after I cut her off, I didn't cut her off. Like, I'm tuned. I'm like, so I'm confused. I'm like, wait. So she in the car crying. All right. I'm like, look, I'm trying to, so I'm being quiet. I'm letting her talk.
Mm-hmm.
So before we walk in the hotel, I say, look, I hear you. I respect what you're saying. I'm not about to, because I'm still trying to get pussy at this point. So
mm-hmm.
I'm not trying to say nothing that could, you know what I'm saying? Like,
yeah, you're being strategic.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. So I'm like, look, I hear you, your feelings. I get what you're saying. But just to let you know, two things. I'm not flirting with them. It was only his business. Mm-hmm. Second of all, I would never disrespect you or flirt with somebody like that in your face. And then the third thing is that, yo, like, this is just a means going in, and I'm not selling my body. I'm not doing anything. Flirting is not, like I said, flirting is in the eye of the beholder. I'm not grabbing women's asses. I'm not commenting on their bodies.
Yeah.
I'm not saying, all I'm saying is all I'm doing is giving a compliment right back. I think there's space for that. You know what I'm saying? Yeah. So, after I tried to get her to understand it logically, she calms down, we part. Okay.
And I just want to stop you right there, because also, to play devil's advocate a little bit, you also don't know how comfortable, you've met her 12 hours ago. You also don't know how comfortable she is with you putting any kind of label on her. Imagine if you were backstage and women were flirting with you doing this stuff, and you start grabbing her and saying, like, this is my girl, this is who I'm with, whatever. And she's like, whoa, I just met you 12 hours ago. Why are you touching me like that? You know what I mean? We're having fun, but slow your roll. Yeah. So you're outside. Mm-hmm, so you're outside the hotel, telling her all that, trying to do damage control.
Try, and it works at the time. Mm-hmm. So we about to go down. All right, cool. I grab her bag. We walking upstairs. It's showtime.
Mm-hmm.
Maybe, I don't know. Maybe she popped a drink before she got upstairs. I don't know what happened. But by the time we get to the room, she throws something at me.
Okay.
Like, I get in the room, I put my bags down, and she threw something at me. I'm thinking it was a joke.
Yeah, you're really turned on now.
And she just, she looking at me like, I can't fucking believe, like, then you gonna tell me? And then she just went off on me. Like, I'm talking like, but like, I'm talking like, she was red in her eyes. You know what I'm saying? It's red in her eyes. She's cussing me the fuck out. And this is where caution comes in.
Mm-hmm.
Because there's two ways this could have went down. She throwing shit at me. She's trying to fight with me, blah, blah, blah. It could have went way worse than what it did.
Right.
I didn't put my hands on this young lady. I didn't even restrain her.
Yeah.
I packed my bags, and I let her have the room for the night.
Wow.
I was not going to stay in that room with her at all, under any circumstances. I left. I went over to another hotel. I called my road manager that night. His name is Gary. And he says, yo, you need to leave the room.
Yeah.
Because here's where you got to think about it like this. If something were to happen to that young lady, it wouldn't have been, just Clint did something. It would have been Clint Coley, opening for DL. He has to take responsibility for that. He would have had to. And I don't want my actions to impede or impact somebody else's or somebody else or something that my actions to, you know, like if you think about it, I do something and then somebody else got to either A, take the fall for it,
right,
or B, take responsibility for it. That's a lot. You know what I'm saying?
and that would affect your reputation too. Thankfully, nothing
And
happened
his.
to her and his, but that was, I was going to say, if you did something to affect his reputation, even if your intentions were like, I'm just trying to get laid, I brought her to a show, I thought I gave her a cool night, and things got a little more possessive than I intended. You said you were 7-8 years in. I mean, who, and you have such
It's not even it's not even just that. It's just like, yo, like we, like, first of all, 2014 was around the time, you know, the Me Too era really
of course,
got jumped.
mm-hmm.
You know what I'm saying? And like with that in the back of my mind, as this girl is berating me, cussing me out, yelling at me, and mind you, like she's like, and she's being belligerent too. So she's like, you know, you want to angry fuck me? You can still angry fuck me. Take here, pull your dick. Like, and she's naked. She's doing all, like it's a lot.
It's escalated.
Yeah, and like pussy ain't worth that.
Right. This is your whole career is on the line, and other people's as well.
Especially that was a wild ass night.
Yeah,
like,
that is. And luckily, I'm gonna assume everything went from there. It was like no more contact and no trying to reach out.
I haven't seen or heard from her since.
Okay, well then that's probably for the best. You both have
for sure.
You know that
sure.
you both have an interesting memory, but well, I really appreciate you telling it. That was indeed a wild night. That ended in best case scenario in terms of the repercussions. But this is
but I went home. I went to the other room. Like, here's what pisses me off.
Yeah.
Right? So I had other women in Houston that I could have fucked with.
Yeah, that's
like
life.
At the time. That's what made me, like, that's what pissed me off. It's like I turned down old faithful pussy for new pussy. You know, can I say pussy? I'm sorry.
You can say pussy, yes. You pussy.
I'm sorry, all right, no, but like I turned down guaranteed yams for potential
potatoes.
Here we are. Crazy. No, potatoes are good. That's my favorite.
Okay. But anyway, I just had potatoes as well, but I was just doing the yams comparison.
No. The yams is, but we you know, first of all, in Philly, that's where it came from. We specifically call vagina yams. They taste good. They're sweet. They're warm. Like that. Yams is like yams is literally your inner thighs, and your vagina. So like so like if I'm gonna get graphic real quick,
let's get graphic.
This is yams. All this is yams.
For anyone listening, Clint is rubbing his inner thigh on the inner side, not the outer thigh, and that is where the yams are located. That's
yams, and then your vagina, of course. That's it's like the road, the thighs are the road to the yams, and then it's like it's all encompassing. So it's like a
yam parade, if you will.
Yes. So, but yeah, that's the part that really makes me mad. It was like, she was fine. I took the risk. I'm like, I'm about to get some new yams. And here we are. You know what I mean?
I do know what you mean. That is wild. And it is a funny story. So you add that to the notch of funny stories for your belt. And I'm sure besides my podcast, that story has been used in comedy.
Actually, that's never been used. I don't like... Never been used. Like, I think I may have told that story on my podcast, but like never in depth. I always just would be like, I met a chick in Houston, it got wild. But like, I've never really I've told the story, but it's not like it's not a staple of my journey. That's not a story that I like. When I think, here's the thing. First of all, I've had many wild nights. So like, you know what I'm saying? I've had many wild nights, and I'm talking like just, you know, like I remember there was a night I went to Atlantic City, things got crazy. Like, you know what I'm saying?
As they tend to do.
Yeah, where you from?
I'm in New York City now. I live in Queens, but I'm from Connecticut originally, but I've been in the city for like 15 years.
No, that's fine. No, my road manager's from Connecticut.
Oh, cool. What part?
He's from where's Steph from? Is he from Hartford? Yeah, I believe he's from Hartford.
Yeah, that's about 30 minutes away. I'm from New Haven.
Yeah, so you from Yale.
Yeah, that's where I was born, Yale, New Haven.
Yeah, so so crazy thing is the very first comedy club I headlined one night was in New Haven. It was at
Joker's Wild?
place called Yeah, they don't have it no more, I think. But yeah, I remember that. That was a good night, man. I
Yeah.
remember that. That was another that's another wild night. Like I ended up butt naked in some chick's bed at Yale. Like
Oh shoot.
I was ass naked.
I've
Ass
been
naked.
those dorms are all right. I've been naked in a Yale dorm room. It is pretty.
Yeah,
They're pretty
but I mean,
nice.
yeah. I was and I don't know how I got there. Like, you know what I mean? Well, I remember. I know how I got there. But
You followed the yams.
I followed the yams.
You followed the yams.
Yeah, but yeah. So like, what was I saying? Yeah, like
you were saying this story wasn't one that particularly, you didn't make it into a comedy set or anything. It was just something that lived with you.
No, because it's not funny to me. Like the story
Right.
is not like, even as I'm telling it now and I'm trying to think of like ways to give the funny parts. I'm like, yo, this shit really ain't fucking funny. Like this chick was crazy. Like I almost had a situation. I almost, you know what I mean? Like, and I was mad I was in Houston, like that I wasn't anywhere like New York or Philly, because I'm born and raised in Philly.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I'm saying? Like, you lucky my sister would have ran in this bitch head. Like, you know what I'm saying? Like, so.
And you don't want that either. You know what I mean?
Well, my sister don't mind. But
of course not. Of course not. But it doesn't mean it's like
that doesn't make it right.
You know what I mean?
Yeah, no, we don't want violence.
No violence.
That's the thing. No
violence, just yams.
Right. Shit. Yeah.
Well, I wanted to say to you, Clint, because you are and correct me if I'm wrong, but 255 episodes into Advice from a Fuckboy, which anybody who doesn't know, that's Clint's podcast. 255 episodes, that's upwards of 5 years, right?
No?
I'm trying to do some quick math.
I know we started in January 2019, and
oh wow,
we were at 100 episodes before the year was up.
Oh my goodness.
We were at 100 episodes before the end of January, because I was doing like 2-3 a week sometimes.
Wow, yeah, you're cranking them out.
I was cranking them out, yeah.
That's I have a lot of questions about this podcast, and I actually am really grateful you told the Tinder story, because I had some Tinder questions or some Tinder advice I was going to ask you for. But what was there kind of like a inciting incident that made you start the podcast? Or you just said, I'm good at giving advice, let me do this?
My girl, me and a young lady at the time, I was going through a breakup,
mm-hmm.
and it was very I was going through a breakup, and I felt like at the time she only felt like it was my fault.
Gotcha.
Like I felt like she was only like, and I'm just like, the premise of the podcast was supposed to be, we were telling women like, yo, like, or I was, let me say we, because it was just me. I wanted to tell women, yo, you're not always right. You think you are, but
mm-hmm.
you're not. And it really irks my soul sometimes to hear or see, like a lot of men take the fall for why relationships don't work out. And I feel like women don't, you know
mm-hmm.
what I'm saying? Or at the time I felt like that.
Right.
I felt like there was no accountability and no responsibility on your part. It's like, yo, we messed up, or we need to do what you need to do what we need to do to appease you. And I felt like she never cared about my feelings. And I started the podcast.
Well, that's really
honest. And my thing was, if you want me to be a fuckboy, I'll be one.
Yeah. Yeah. So you felt like you were kind of like getting wrongly labeled for the actions that were happening.
No. I don't think I felt like I was getting wrongly labeled. Like, here's the thing. Like, if we listen to the podcast, I do talk about fuckboy things that I've done.
Mm-hmm.
I do share fuckboy stories that really are that really, they're tough.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? But also talk about growing and learning from the situations too.
Of course.
And I think that the podcast, a lot of times people, what they like to do is be like, oh, it's fuckboy. It's like, nah, you're listening to the title and not listening to the message.
And there's words, yeah.
Like, yeah, like the message is like, yo, like I'm not like, don't get me wrong, men wrong, women wrong.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I'm saying?
Agreed.
And
yeah.
the message is, we're not trying to be right. If you come on this podcast, you're not trying to be right. You're trying to get it right.
Mm-hmm.
Let's get it right. To get me, you, her, whoever.
Yeah. Yeah. Did you find that it really, I mean, you continued, you're on 255 episodes, which is just incredible. But can you feel the growth in yourself since you started it?
Yeah, I
Yeah.
do. I do. I feel like you gotta like, first of all, the content then, or when it was started, and the content now is kind of night and day. I have a whole different perspective on women. I have a whole different perspective on life. But you gotta remember, I'm a big fan of Marvel. And one thing that they talk about now is Nexus events, right? Like Nexus events, things, or Marvel is really, they're big right now. They're talking about time travel is the next phase in the Marvel series. If is the idea of time travel, whether it be through different universes, whatever,
dimensions,
right?
whatever,
all that is time travel, right? And one thing they talk about is like Nexus events and absolute points in time. Nexus events are events that happen that spawn other events to happen. So like, it's kind of like logic. This can't happen unless this happens. So like, my perspective on women changed because, you know, my father died, my grandmother died, my brother died. Like I had a lot of deaths in 2020.
And it all happened in 2020, all three of the major deaths. Wow, I'm so sorry to hear that. That's very tough.
It's cool. Yeah.
Yeah.
So I say all that to say though, but it caused me to my dad dying caused me, and my grandmother dying caused me to get right with my mom, right? And when I got right with my mom, and then I'm internalizing and thinking about different things, now I see the world different.
Yeah.
Because of Nexus events.
Yeah.
And I think that had to happen so that I could have this view or outlook on how I feel about women now, which is, I don't think y'all the problem, but I don't think y'all not the problem. I don't think men are the problem, and I don't think we're not the problem. I think the problem is that we don't communicate well when we're upset.
Yeah.
Nobody knows how, like, that's literally the ending of most situations.
Yeah.
Because you don't know how to communicate when you're, and I'm not even talking about being angry. There's so many extremes that people cut people off. People don't know how to talk to people. People don't know how to
treatment.
do this. There's all of that. There's all of that. You don't know how when you're triggered, you don't know how to handle that.
Oh, and you only are working with the tools that you have in your own personal toolbox, and it's up to you along the way to add to your toolbox. But if you're not adding to the toolbox, then what do you got? You got the same thing you worked with when you were 22.
Facts.
I can agree heavy on that with like communication, and even in like past relationships and stuff, you can look at somebody and be like, it was all their fault. It was all their fault. But then you have to kind of take a step back and see, what was my role in this? How would I have responded at this stage in life that I didn't respond to at that point in my life? You know what I mean? And that's growth though. And that's life. And that's what you take on to the next relationship, should you choose to have one. Now, I want to ask you this too. I think it's funny, from your story, you said, you didn't let this girl know. You kind of came in with the surprise that you were going to be performing. Nowadays, I don't know if you're on Tinder. Are you on the apps these days?
Not on yet.
You're not on any of the apps.
I'm not single.
Perfect. So then definitely don't be on the apps. That would be the best thing. But I don't know if before you were on the apps, if you went on dates with women, if you would tell them like, I have a podcast, or this is what I do.
Well, after a certain point, like, at this point now, or at that, so that was 2014. So if we're talking about by the time I got the podcast, and by the time, like, you know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
But by the time I got the podcast, I mean, you either knew who I was or you didn't. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
So like, and I didn't. I mean, any woman that would ask me about, I didn't take serious. Like, you're asking me about work. Like, what are we talking about
here? Yeah. I just want to thank you for coming on the show. Do you want to just really quick? I think your socials, it's the same across the board. If people want to follow you, quick. And if they want to follow the podcast, so if you want to plug that really quick,
just follow me. My name is Clint Coley. Just follow me.
Perfect.
The podcast. If you want, you don't have to. If you don't want, if you want, like, because I don't really promote the podcast.
Right. It finds its own audience.
It's fun. It's fun for me now. Like,
Perfect.
I don't like. That's the difference between so many people that do podcasts. Like, like my career is fine without this shit. Like, you know what I'm saying?
Of course,
like,
it's just your pleasure. Yeah. I get it.
So,
Well,
you know
Clint,
what I mean?
I do. I'm glad that you came out of that story unscathed, and I look forward to following you and seeing what else you have to do.
Thank you. I appreciate it.
Absolutely, Clint. Thank you for doing the show. We'll talk soon. All right.
No doubt.
Bye.